Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to Hands on SAP Dev with me, DJ Q Macro. Yes, we are starting very shortly. We're starting now. So yeah, welcome. Thank you so much for joining. It's Friday. It's 5 to 5. It's Crackerjack. Who remembers that? It's Friday. It's 8 o'clock here in Manchester in the morning. And we are going to be spending the next hour together. Always friendly. I look forward to this this hour of the week very much. I'm not just saying that to be, to be nice. I really do. Good morning to Helmut in Hanover, and we are going to be talking about this stuff, the brain. But more on that shortly. I've got my coffee, and in fact, I've had my my Stroop waffle. This is my penultimate Stroop waffle. One more. And I've already had a bite out of it, which is, I suppose, allowed, isn't it? Hey, James Hale in the house. Good morning. Good morning. I've another bite of my... Oh, it's getting very soft now. Very good. Right. Okay. So I'll put it over there. Before I forget, got some stickers. Remember, we give out stickers. Got loads of these. Developers.sap.com. Got a whole box full. So if you want any stickers... Usual procedure. Ronnie, good morning, Ronnie. Ronnie in the house. One of the elders of not in a bad way, not in an old way, but one of the elders of Hands on SAP Dev. One of the pillars from the early days. Ronnie, welcome, welcome back. It's great to have you on board, Ronnie. And learned a lot about Stroop waffles in the last weeks. Yes, this actually is all about Stroop waffles with a smattering of SAP tech. That's what this live stream series is all about. Lucas, good morning to Lucas. Good morning. So I've got a load of these stickers. The usual procedure, if you want me to send you some stickers, I'll post some stickers to you. Just send me a Twitter DM, some private way of sending me your information, your mailing address. If you do send me the mailing address, send it to me on separate lines so I know how to write it on the envelope, because some mailing addresses, I'm not sure when one part ends and the next part should go on the next line and everything. So or use a pipe or some symbol to say next line. I've got also from the great Ronnie some more of these Hands on SAP Dev stickers. Very exclusive, really. Hands on SAP Dev, and I've got a few remaining cap stickers. These are the original cap stickers. They're sort of this slightly see-through. Look pretty cool on your laptop. So yeah, if you want any stickers, just send me a DM on Twitter with your address and I'll send some to you. So Justin, what a lovely surprise. So I worked with Justin a few years ago now. Am I thinking of the right Justin? But anyway, I don't know. Welcome, Justin. Anyway, nice to see you too. Ronnie is saying, my wife misread Stroop waffle last week and thought it said Stormtrooper waffle. Okay. From now on, these will be called Stormtrooper waffles. These are vintage stickers, Ronnie. These are vintage stickers, but they're awesome. They're well sought after. Revision 1 or revision 0? That's the question. Right. Okay. Anyway. Let's get into it. We are going to be talking about the brain component. I can see on the studio here. I can see what's being shown. So we're going to be talking about the brain component, and the brain component is one of the components in the TechEd Keynote, and we're going to look at it to make sure we all understand what it is and what it does. I suspect that we may not spend just this one episode on the brain component. We may spend 2 episodes on the brain component. We might even spend 3, because we all like going through detail slowly but surely, learning as we go, digressing as we see fit. So that's what we'll probably do. So Ronnie is saying, oh, Justin, you're in Singapore. Sorry, Justin, you're super welcome, of course, but I thought you were just in some other. Anyway, welcome to Singapore. Amazing. We are quite international here, aren't we? Helmut, asking Ronnie, you watch DJ's videos with your wife? I knew yes, of course, I knew I'd met you. So I've not had enough coffee, obviously. Justin, yes, I remember. I remember. Helmut Taman, I wish. No, Stroop Waffle is a favourite in this household. Ah, okay. Well, it's still Stormtrooper Waffle from now on. I'm going to have some coffee. Right. We are going to be talking about the brain. Now, here's the keynote. As you all know, let me just in case you're new to this series, let me just share the repo URL. This is our developer keynote, and all the stuff that we showed in the developer keynote at TechEd in December is in here for you to try out. Hey, good morning, Andrew. Good morning, good evening, Andrew. Good evening to you over there. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Nice to see you. Nice to see everybody. And we got the diagram here. And the brain, this is what we're going to be talking about today. A little bit bigger, because why not? There is our famous whiteboard, and we are going to be talking about today, and probably next Friday as well, the brain component. As you can see, good morning, Patrick. Do not apologise for being late. You are not late, and there's no need to apologise. You're always welcome whenever you turn up. It's fantastic. So no apologies needed. Everybody's welcome all the time. So welcome, Patrick. So the brain, I've got Stroop Waffle around my lips, is a component in the whole keynote thing. And it's quite an interesting one because it's got a lot of lines going to and from it, okay? In the keynote itself, we ran the brain on Keyma. We built and pushed it to Keyma and ran it there. We won't get to pushing it to Keyma this week. We'll do that next week. I want to concentrate on other things related to the brain this week. As you can see, the brain has two arrows relating to the message bus, to our, as you probably know from last week's news, the SAP Enterprise Messaging Service is now called SAP Event Mesh, because why not? So check out last week's developer news, and this week's developer news actually is out already. Let's not digress there. What time is it already? It's already 7 minutes past. So you can find this week's developer news. Let me go to the channel, and there it is. There's developer news. There, and then let's paste that in. This week's developer news is there. Go and watch it later on. The brain has two arrows relating to the message bus, okay, which is a nice generic term. It listens out for messages on the event bus, on the message bus, that are published to the sales order created topic. So it subscribes to that topic. But it also sends messages, event messages of its own. Okay, internal charity fund increased, and those are, destined eventually for the charity component, which we haven't covered yet. We'll cover in a future episode. But also, what the brain does is a number of things. It goes and uses the API sales order serve API, to us OData service, right? Which we've looked at before. We've looked at the sandbox in a previous episode of this series. It does some sort of internal business logic as well. Check sold to party. And then it also calls another component synchronously to say, I've got this sales order amount. Please give me the charity credits equivalent of that, okay? And it uses a converter component, also written in Keyma, written in Go, that does that. Now, we haven't looked at the converter component yet, and we're not going to mess around with the published event yet. So, how do we get all these components up and running one at a time, slowly? The answer is in this, what I referred to as the brain level. Okay, so I added after TechEd, I added this sort of brain level concept. And you can run the brain at different levels, and it will do more and more things as the level increases. So we can sort of do a very basic brain lower level functions today. Does that make sense? So no free Stroop waffles for people being late. Ah, Johan, is that harsh? That feels harsh to me. But Patrick, good work. You've got your own stack. No worries. Nice. Yes, I'm going to get some more Stroop waffles. I would love some SAP Developer Mobile wallpapers. Mobile wallpapers. Ooh, hey, that's a cool idea for your phone. I'll get our friend Kevin. He's like into mobile stuff and he's a good designer, I'll put that idea to Kevin, see what he says. Uday, good idea. How cool is that? Right, okay, so note to self, ping Kevin. Remind me, folks, ping Kevin later. So that's where we are. That's what we're going to look at today. Okay, so let's get going. Let's go and make that a little bit smaller again, and let's jump into the. In fact, let's just do one more thing for those people fairly new here. We've got this quick start guide which we're working through. Okay, So we've done all these things here. We're now at number 9. Set up and execute the brain component, controlling the activity level, brain function level as you go. So these are all the video links to the previous episodes in the live stream. So we're going to go and do the brain. Okay, and this there is the brain component, which is this one here. Now, what is it all about? Basically, the brain is a CAP application or CAP service, right? Because if you are familiar at all, even at the highest level with CAP, you'll sort of know that there are. Well, I think of 3 levels in a CAP thing. And those 3 levels are represented by the 3 directories that get created when you sort of initialize a new CAP application. You've got the app level, which is basically the front end stuff. You've got the service level, which is basically it's like the where the business logic sits, and it also is how we decide which parts of the underlying data model, the schemas and the entity relationships between them, which parts get exposed to which consumers. And then we've got the sort of the DB level, the schema definition and persistence layer. Okay, so I see those layers, from top to bottom. I've deliberately put them in there in this order. Okay, so this CAP brain component here doesn't have a head. It's headless. It's just a service, so it doesn't have anything in the app layer, right? We're not doing any front end. We are doing a front end in the TechEd Keynote, but that is a separate thing. The thing that Marius did, and Marius is going to come on in a future episode and show us that. That's the Fiori elements, with the cool cards that consume data from Rich's app stuff. Okay, so what this service does, right, and these numbers here are relevant to the brain function level, right? Processing follows a sequence of the following activities each time an event published to the sales order created topic on the message bus is received, right? So at brain level 0, it doesn't do anything. Brain level 0 doesn't do anything, but the default brain level is 1. And all it'll do is it will log the details of that received event message. Okay, that's it. That's all it'll do. And that's probably all we'll get to. Okay. At brain level 2, it will not only log the message details, it will also go and use the API sales order serve API on the API Business Hub, right? Through our sandbox, our mock service, our proxy service, to go and get the details of the sales order header. Why? Can somebody tell me why it needs to go and get the details of the sales order header when we get the message? We're publishing a message, we're emitting a message. Remember, we did that a couple of weeks ago. We emit the event message sales order created. So why do we now go and need to read the sales order details? Tell me in the chat, right? If you remember, or if you can, guess. At brain level 3, not only will it do 1 and 2, but it will also go and then talk to this converter thing and say, give me the charity credits equivalent of the total net amount of the sales order, right? That it's got from retrieving those details from the sales order header, right? And brain level 4 will do the final bit, which is to, work everything out, create a new event message, this internal charity fund increased topic message, right? And use that blue arrow there to send it to the message bus, right? So the business logic that we're talking about here is that we only want to spit out a new event message, the internal charity fund increased topic messages, as long as we only want to do that for a small number of times for a sole to party. That's a sort of made up business logic that we wanted to put in there. So it gives us an excuse to play around with a bit of JavaScript and show you where the business logic would go. Okay, so we just basically want, once it's been processed 10 times, we don't want to do it anymore. Okay, because sort of ideally, you know, we don't want to sort of, you know, plant 1 million trees if we've had 1 million orders from, well, maybe we do, I don't know. Anyway, that's another story. Yes, Andrew, thank you, Andrew, for responding on the chat there. And the chat, we're all, oh, Pabitra, good morning. I missed that, Pabitra. Good morning. I didn't see your name there. I've just seen it now. So welcome, Pabitra. Yes, exactly. So the emit message, the message that comes in, the sales order created topic message, that only has one tiny morsel, one tiny little bite, one tiny little soupçon of information, and that is the sales order number, nothing else. We don't transport a whole load of data in these event messages. We just transport like the key data, as in the key, i.e. the sales order number. And then it's down to the recipient, the consumer, to go and do something with that. The first thing they need to do is to go and give me the details of the sales order. So go and read the sales order header. Perfect. Because we want to keep these messages lightweight, don't we? Okay, so thank you, Andrew. Perfect. So, and as I've said here, we're going to stop reading in a minute and start doing. Don't worry. We've got this environment variable called brain level. Okay, this is what I've added since you didn't see this in the keynote because I didn't use it. It didn't exist, but I've added it so that we together collectively can sort of, you know, go step by step building these components up. Now, in order to do all the things that the brain component does, right, it needs to connect to various services, right? And this is the beautiful thing about CAP, right? CAP allows you to connect to and consume services in such a beautiful way, such an easy, abstract way. And we saw that in the keynote. Of course, one of the services it connects to is the messaging service. It uses SQLite for local persistence. We're going to be running this local today. It is going to connect to the sales order service. This is an OData service, right? Which is basically this thing there. And finally, it's going to connect to the conversion service. This is the converter, the written in Go, as in this service here. That's an OData service, and that's basically just a regular HTTP service. Really simple, beautiful. Oh, OData is beautiful as well, don't get me wrong. So, all these different services, and we'll think about, you know, where these services are defined and how to define them in a bit. Okay, so that's why it's important to sort of recognize what we want to be doing here, what we want to be connecting to, and so on. Now, let's set things up, okay? We're assuming that we're using the App Studio, of course, and we are using App Studio. There it is already. Hello, hello, hello. We're assuming we've got message bus, okay? So I think we've got the message bus is still running. CFS, right? CF service. Let's get rid of that. There you go. CF service, EMDev, our famous name for our message bus, which is a service, an instance of the enterprise messaging service, also known as the Event Mesh service, right? And so basically our assumptions are already met. So we're ready to go, aren't we? We're ready to go. Now, we need to set up some destinations, okay? But we're going to do that next time because we only really need these destinations when we get to brain level 2 and brain level 3. We need a destination pointing to, and when I say destinations, I sort of mean I mean destinations in terms of these destinations in here. Okay, I don't even know what's in here. What's in here? Nothing? Let's have a look. Cool. Okay, we've got an empty set of destinations. Okay, perfect. So this is where we'll be creating our destinations. By the way, Marius is putting together like a fast lane type whoosh through all the setup, which is a different way of going through this. And he's got a really cool way of setting up destinations as well. So, you know, watch this space. Okay. Now, the S4 sales order endpoint and the conversion service endpoint, we're not going to use those today. So we'll come back to that. And just by the way, if you're looking at this sort of on your own, this repo, you've got, of course, this README in the CAP brain. And then the CAP brain, actually, if I go to the top here, this may be easier. If I go to the top, we've got a couple of markdown files, destinations.md, right? And service instances.md. Those are markdown files. Those are README files that correspond to destination setup. I'll just show you the destination setup, right? You can click on that, go to the destination setup. That's basically, you know, a nice sort of self-contained thing, right? This will take you through setting up some destinations and go back. But also what we need are instances of services to read those destinations, basically. And we will set these up. Okay, we're not going to set the destinations up yet, but it's worth setting these services up. Let's talk about what these services are for. These services, in combination, the destination service and the XSUAA service, these combined will allow us to read the destination information, okay, when we come to eventually want to consume those destinations, which we haven't created yet, right? But there's a really interesting thing that we need to do that's in the service instances setup, right, which we'll come to in a minute, in relation to running stuff locally. Well, I'm pointing to my keyboard here. I'm running in my keyboard, but locally in our case means, of course, locally in the App Studio dev space that we've got. Let me illustrate, okay? If we do the local service setup, now is a good point to set things up for local execution. This is a cat-based service, blah, 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 blah. Right, so what we're going to do is we're going to go into the BRAIN directory, run the install, run the deploy, and then start it up, okay? And then we should have a problem. Okay, we'll talk about that problem. Are we all okay? You're all very quiet. Are you all drinking coffee and eating Stormtrooper biscuits? Oh. That was a mistake. Putting all that in my mouth. Okay, let's do that. So, we're in here. Let's bring back the Explorer because we can see where we are. This is the TechEd repo. Here's our cap BRAIN directory. So let's jump into that. cd cap BRAIN. All sorts of wonderful stuff, right? So it tells us, shall we just do like a little bit of a, you know, a toot, 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 like that for now? Is that okay? Yeah. Is that okay? Is that a good layout? Let me know. Let's get rid of the welcome because then I can put that right at the top. There we go. Right. So first of all, we can see here we're in Home User Projects in our sort of cloned repo inside of cap, inside of BRAIN. Now, npm install. What is it going to install? Well, let's check, shall we? It's all defined in the package.json. It's going to install these dependencies. It's going to install really interesting dependencies. In fact, let's just let's do it in here instead, so we can sort of see it and I can move around better. If we look in package.json, which is there, okay, this was generated originally by CDS init. Okay, so we started when we were building this stuff for the Keynote. We started and we did a CDS init, right? You need some more virtual. Oh, you're listening carefully, Lucas. Very good. Very good. Good work. Johan, you need more virtual stroopwafel. Yes, I need some. Well, yeah. I'm not going to eat the last one because I want to save the last one till next week. I can get some more tomorrow from the supermarket because I found a supermarket that sells stroopwafels, Stormtrooper waffles. Anyway, and so of course we have dependency on SAP CDS, on SAP HANA Client, but also really cool because this cap BRAIN service will be connecting to the message bus, not via HTTP. You know, all the stuff that we've done really with the message bus in our hands-on SAP live streams has been using HTTP, the sort of the quote-unquote REST protocol. I hate saying that because it's not really true. It's not, REST is not a protocol. But CAP uses AMQP messaging protocol to connect to the message bus, which is cool. Okay. And we use all sorts of other things as well. So that's what's going to get installed. And we can see as well, if we go down here, or up here rather, we can see these 4 remote services, messaging, DB, S4 sales orders, and conversion service, these are exactly defined within the CDS section of package.json. This is where CDS, allows you to store configuration. There's a beautiful sort of, cascading configuration convention with CAP. So we've got HANA, but we've also got, what does it require? It requires the messaging service. It requires a database with SQLite. It requires the S4 sales order. So these names here I've just made up, right? This can be whatever you want, right? That doesn't have to be the DB of the folder. That could be banana. Conversion service, right? So these things here are these things here. So let's do the npm install. npm install. Oh, there we go. That's good. Oh, I think I installed it just before. Anyway, okay, so npm install has worked, right? So npm install has done all of its installs now. So npm list depth equals 0. We've got those things there, right? These are installed inside of our little project here. So now we'll do a CDS deploy, as it says down here, because we've got inside of our, where is it? Inside of our DB folder, right? See the folders, there's the 3 folders in the brain. We've got the DB folder and we've got the serve folder, but we don't have an app folder. That's, that's this reference here, app, serve, and DB. We're only using DB and serve, right? So now all I'm going to do is a CDS deploy, and the CDS deploy will look for and find this charity entry just with some random sold to parties and how many times they've been processed, right? This is this whole sort of business logic-y thing. And we just stuck this in there as test data, right? Who can tell me why I chose 4711 as a sold to party? Andrew, did you use, Andrew asks, did you use AMQP just to illustrate the usage or another reason? To be honest, that is the default, effectively, of what CAP will use for you, okay? So I learned all this from David Kuntz, Dev on Duty, who has a great, he's one of the members of the superb CAP team generally. And yeah, he told me all about AMQP, and that's, it just works. It just works out of the box. So I'm not doing anything deliberate. That's what CAP uses. Because arguably, right, AMQP and also MQTT, which is also supported, they are, quote unquote, I hate doing it. Why do I do that? They are true or truer messaging protocols, designed specifically for, quick, short messaging things. HTTP is a general protocol, which is beautiful for loads of things, including messaging, but it's not tuned for messaging like AMQP and MQTT is. Okay. Hopefully that explains a little bit. So if we do a CDS deploy, Köln, exactly, Andrew. 4711 is a very famous number in Germany, and therefore a very famous number in SAP documentation, because, Waldorf, etc., because it was the number of the building in Cologne by the river, Rhine, of course, that did some aftershave. Echt Kölnische Wasser. Was it? Or something? I don't know. Anyway, so that was a very famous sort of perfume house. I don't know. So yeah, 4711. CDS deploy. DJ, stop talking nonsense. Right, okay, so we've now used CDS deploy to basically bring into existence, first of all, a SQLite database, brain.db, right? And it's also found charity entry, CSV, right? Can anybody tell me why I've called it charity entry.csv? Tell me why. And it's put the stuff in there, right? So now we're ready to run it, okay? We're going to run it locally. Okay, time is it? Oh, perfect, 8:29. So if we say CDS run, what's going to happen? Let's bring that away. That we don't need that anymore. We don't need that. We don't need that. If we do a CDS run, what's going to happen? Let's see. What's happened is that we get an error. We're running this I'm going to say locally. Obviously, it's not locally to me on my MacBook here, but it's local to me in my dev space in App Studio. Okay, so on the container that's dedicated to me in this dev space. All right, so it's still sort of local. It's in the cloud. It's local, sort of. Now, what's happened is it says no messaging credentials found. Hint, you need to bind your app to an enterprise messaging service or an SAP Event Messaging service, or provide the necessary credentials through environment variables. There's a clue. Okay, we've done this before, right? We've come across this sort of issue before, and we've solved it by providing credentials through environment variables in a file, a sort of file with a well-known name called default-env.json. Okay. Ooh. So Andrew has said perfume produced since 1799, since the European settlement of Australia. My goodness me. Nice connection there, Andrew. Awesome. Yes. So we need to create a default-env.json with stuff in it. What is this stuff? Now, it's straightforward to run CAP applications and services locally, but when they consume, there's a typo. When they consume 2 cloud-based services, oh my goodness me, let's change that right now. Consume 2, woo. There we go, consume 2. When they consume cloud-based services, I think I originally had when they connect to cloud-based services. There we go, commit changes. There we go, on the fly, brilliant. Consume cloud-based services. When they consume cloud-based services, connection and credential information is required. And for local execution, this information is traditionally stored in a file called default-env.json. So are we all clear on what the problem is and what we're going to do to solve it? And of course, there's no default-env.json in here, in the repo, because it contains, when it's full of stuff, it contains credentials. We don't want to share credentials in the repo. So we're going to generate it ourselves. Okay, so this is what we're going to sort of meditate on a little bit, because there are different ways. Okay, and while this is sort of tangential to what we want to do, you know, it does take us forward because it gives us credentials to be able to run this locally. But I think it's definitely worth, and let me know if you agree, I think it's definitely worth going on that tangent and digressing a little bit and meditating on how we get these credentials into a default-env.json. What are they? Where do they come from? How can we generate them? Okay, because it's really useful for running things locally, right? I think anyway. So you should generate this yourself now. Now this is another file, another markdown file that you've got in the repo that takes you through generating it. You know, obviously I deliberately skipped over that just now, so we got the error. So now we've got to go in there and have a look at this, right? Generating a default-env.json file. It's almost like, you know, it was planned. So I've described a couple of approaches. Let me know. In fact, yeah, let's have this as let's be democratic here. We could do both actually. We've got time, but let me know what you want to do first. Anyway, we can do it manually, or we can use a script. Let me know what you want to do. I would suggest we do it manually first and then use a script second. You know, do it both ways. But let me know what you want to do. While you're telling me on the chat, I'm gonna have some coffee. See, this is what I should do. This is what I should do. I should ask a question and then put some Stormtrooper waffle in my mouth, because I can chew it while you're replying and, you know, enjoy the delay of the live stream. What do you think? Who's going to answer? Let me know in the chat. Meanwhile, I'll clear this screen while I'm waiting and sort of scroll up a little bit. But basically, the general approach that I'm taking here, there are different ways. I think also Tom, my friend and colleague Tom Young, has a similar sort of thing for his HANA CLI. I think he released something recently in addition to the HANA CLI that helps you also manage default-env.json style things. Nobody said anything yet, Are you all in shock at the nonsense I'm talking about? Patrick is saying manually first, I'd say. Manually. Oh, Johan, manually, so to better understand. James Hale, manual first, please. Okay. Perfect. I don't know why, but I suddenly thought of the word emancipate, which has the same etymological root as the word for manual, which is hand. Emancipation, to be released from the hand. Anyway, where did that come from? So the general idea is that, or the approach that we're going to take is we're going to deploy a really simple app. We're going to bind the service. Well, we need to create the services as well. Oh, we need to create the services. We need to create the services and bind the services to it. And then we can get CF to say, give me the environment, give me the binding information in the form of environment variables that now exist for the relationship between this app and these services that have been bound to it. Okay, so we can grab that and then turn that into the content we need for the default-env.json file. Does anybody know? Lucas also says manual first, and so does Andrew. Fantastic. Okay, perfect. Does anybody know what the environment variable is that we're talking about here? Starts with vcap, right? Also, tell me where the name vcap came from, right? It's quite interesting in itself. Anyway, yes, so we'll do that. Okay. Actually, I've been playing around with this earlier this week, and we can do something even shorter than this, right? So what we'll do, what we'll do, we'll go back and we'll create the services. I forgot to create services. Service instances set up. We'll do that now, really quickly. We need a destination service. So we'll just copy paste that. We're all friends here. We can all create services really easily. So we'll get rid of, that wasn't intended. We'll get rid of the thing there, and we'll just create a service. In fact, CF, let's have a look at the services. There we go. There we go, Andrew. This is for you. Alias trunk equals cut minus C from 1 to tput calls. A little truncate thing here, so we can say, there we go, CFS truncate it. So it's all nice and neat and not wrapping around, because I hate that. So all we've got from a service perspective is our enterprise messaging service, right? So now we'll say CF create service destination light. My convention that I like to use is, well, this is of course you need the name of the service itself, the plan that's available for that service that you want to use, and then the name of the service instance. And I always call it service name dash plan that I've used. Okay, so we've now got destination light as a service. That's it. That's all we need to do. And we'll do the same thing for XSUAA. Okay, so we'll do the same thing. Create an instance of the XSUAA service with the application plan and call it XSUAA-application. And now we've got destination light, emdev, and XSUAA application. Okay, that's good. That's all we need to do there. And it sort of describes it in here. That's fine. So now let's go back to where we were about to do it manually. Okay. So we want to create an app. We'll follow this roughly, right? But let's have a look at the apps. We've got an app. It's CF apps trunk. There we go. We got a webhook, hands on SAP Dev from a while ago, and we've got the proxy app as well. Okay, that's still started. Let's create an app. CF. We don't need to create a directory anymore. I've got a better way of doing it. A really simple app that does nothing. That doesn't even start. We just need the very kernel, the very skeleton of an app, and nothing else. So we will say, and I'll modify this code in a minute, this markup in a minute to mark down. CF push, no root, don't have any URL that will go to the app. Don't even start the app because there's nothing to start, right? And also, if you don't specify the amount of disk and the amount of memory it should have, then it defaults to a gig each, right? Which is way too much. So let's give it like 64 megs disk and 32 megs of memory. And let's call it hands on SAP Dev. Hands on SAP Dev. There we go. Oh, what? CF. I forgot the word push. There we go. CF push no root. So this stuff is superfluous. I've changed it in the script, but I forgot to change it here. CF push, there we go. Let's do that. What is this going to do? Not much, but it's going to do enough. It's always nice to do the simplest thing that could possibly work. And then, you know, you're not thinking, well, did this work because of X or Y or Z? No, it worked because of X, because I didn't do Y or Z. That's how I like to see things. Come on, come on, come on. Let's move that over there a little bit. Now, while we're waiting, okay, the next thing we need to do is to bind the emdev service and the destination light service and the XSUAA service to our app. Okay, note that down's okay because we said don't start it, so it's down and there's nothing there, there's nothing happening, right? It's just, you know, an app skeleton, I'm going to call it. So now if we say CF apps, there it is. Oh, tell you what, let's this is what we're going to do now. XSUAA application, destination light, emdev. So instead of doing trunk, I'm just going to make this sort of full screen. That's better, isn't it? So the services are there, right? So now we're going to say CF bind. Well, in fact, let's do it sort of, you know, a little bit nicer for service in destination light, emdev, and also XSUAA application. Do CF bind service. What was the order? Oh yeah, app name first. What's got hands on SAP dev service. I should really put that in double quotes, but there we go. Done. Okay. So now, what's happened? We've got same services as before, same apps as before, but now this app, this hands on SAP dev app, is bound to 3 services. In fact, we can even check it. In our cockpit. Let's do that because, you know, somebody's got to give a bit of love to the cockpit, right? Go into trial and we can see we've got 3 applications and this hands on SAP dev application is stopped, right? We go in there, we can see, where is it? Service bindings. There it is. It's bound to those 3 services. Okay, cool. So far, so good. Now all we need to do is to say, give me, please, the environment for that app. And that environment will contain the credentials. So what we're going to do is I'm not going to sort of mask my screen with the... Instead, what I'll do, and I'll sort of have to think about this, what I'll do is I'll make that sort of half size so you're not going to see all of the... what do you call it? Credentials. So they're going to be useless to you. Not that you're going to do anything anyway, but yeah. So CF-env hands on SAP dev. And we'll pipe that into, or we'll redirect the output into default-env.txt. Now, txt. There we go. So we've got the output from CF-env, okay, and we get some cruft at the top, some sort of, you know, text, but then we get some JSON, and that JSON contains the answer to the question that I was asking before, a property called vcap services, and basically that's an environment variable, or, you know, that's the equivalent of, that is the environment variable that is in the context of the Cloud Foundry, you know, which is where the bindings between the app and the service instances are maintained, right? So as you can see here, we've got in vcap services, we've got a destination binding. We've got an enterprise messaging binding there. Yes, and then we've also got, yeah, running Vim in this sort of browser terminal is not great, but anyway. We've also got, where is it? We've also got a binding to XSUAA. Okay, so we've got these bindings here. Oh, thank you, Ronnie. You're right. You're absolutely right. So let me just have a quick look at this. The there we go, secret and Yeti, and there we go. So now, thank you, Ronnie. There we go. That was easily done. So, did I go to what? Have I been on secret the whole time? Did I forget to switch back to main? Was I a fool then? Oh well. Sorry about that. Let's start this again. There we go. So we've got, just in case I was in secret mode the whole time, did I forget to switch back? Let me know. Just in case I forget to switch back the whole time. Now there's secret audio. Secret audio. We've got the destination binding information here. And we've also got the enterprise messaging binding here. And we've also got the XSUAA binding here. Okay. Thank you, Ronnie. I was here. So maybe when I switched in, anyway, I don't know. And you can use JQ to extract from the response, but actually it's even simpler than that, right? All we need to do, as described here, classic bit of ASCII art with a pair of scissors there. All we need to do is chop off this cruft at the top, go to the bottom there before the VCAP application, which is another environment variable that has information about the application. No, I'm not a fool. You just proved you're human. I am human, and I am an idiot. I have no idea what I'm doing, as many people will confirm. But that's okay, right? You know. So apologies for whatever I've done. I don't even know what I've done in terms of secret and not secret and whatever. Anyway, so that's it. All we have to do is cut from here to here. This is what we want. This stuff here. We could use JQ, but actually that's sort of overkill in this sense, right? There we go. So then we've got pure JSON, so we can rename it default-env.json, and we're done. So this is what basically we need to do. Let's go to the top here, and let's delete from the top to here, and let's go to down there. There we go. Delete to the end, and that's it. Okay, so now move default-env.txt to default-env.json, and we've now got our default-env.json. Yeah, I was gonna cat it out, but I think that will wrap, so I'm not going to show all the secrets, the whole secret. But there we go. I think, can we do this, right? If I say here vim c set no wrap destinations.yaml, for example, I think I can turn no wrap on auto, perfect. Okay, good. So I can say, let's go there and say default-env.json. There we go, no wrap directly. So I'm chopping off the secret. There we go, perfect. The simplest thing that possibly work. Exactly, Ronnie. Exactly, Ronnie. So we've got our VCAP services, and now it's JSON. So that's exactly what we need. Now let's do it not manually. Let's do it in a script instead, right? And because scripts, because terminal, because the power of the command line, right? We've got a small script, and the script basically. Well, let's have a look at the script. Let's go full screen. Let's go and open this up again. Oh, did I close that? No, what's going on? Oh, I closed it. Oh well. Go to the history and go to there. See, pretty cool. That's one of the great features of the App Studio. There we go. Where were we? Here we go. Default-env.gen. Let's get rid of that. We don't need that anymore for now. So this is basically going to do what we've done manually. Because it defines some variables here, read-only variables. emdev as our enterprise messaging instance. where we want the data to be written, but also we're going to be using sed. Has anybody used sed? Does anybody know what sed is? I think Andrew, you may know what sed is, and maybe Ronnie as well. Maybe many people know what sed is, but sed is a beautiful what. And we've got some sed commands, which we'll look at in a minute. There's the definition of our instance destination light, and we've also got the name of our expected XSUAA instance, XSUAA application, like we created manually before. And then you can see here, local app name, local instance, get ready. We don't even need that now. Remove any. Oh no, delete the app. Delete the app. Yeah, sorry. It deletes any app just in case an app exists already. It pushes a new app, just like we did before, just slightly the other way around. We've got the app. I did the app name at the end, right? Same disk, same memory, no root, don't start it. And then bind the enterprise messaging service. And then if we have a reference, or if we can find the destination and XSUAA service instances, bind those as well, okay? So for I in destination and XSUAA, we work out the name of the variable instance underscore destination, which is here, instance underscore destination. And from that, we can get the name of, it's a bit of an indirection, right? So that's why we've got this exclamation mark here, that sort of shell variable indirection resolution. Stream editor, exactly, Andrew, it's a stream editor. It's so powerful. We're going to use that, okay? And then we ask for the environment information. Right, and last time we asked for it on the command line, we we directed that into a file, default-env.txt, and then we edited that file. But the equivalent of what we did, we are now going to use sed. Okay, so the sed command file is called default-env.json.sed, which is here. So I'll leave you to stare at this, after the live stream's finished. Because I can see that the number of views has gone down now. We started talking about sed, but it's beautiful. Okay, what we want to do is we want to add a closing brace at the end of the stream, and we want to remove everything from the first closing brace all the way down to the end of the stream, and then everything from an opening brace at the top. Okay, so sed is is very arcane, but it's super powerful and it's super old and super stable and it's used everywhere. So there's a bit of sed. So we'll run it. Okay, why don't we run it? If we go into the cat brain directory here, and we'll basically, default. We've got CF apps. I'm going to close this door because it's freezing now. So we've got our hands on SAP Dev app. Okay, we'll use that again. So if we say default-env.json, and we'll also call it hands on SAP Dev, right? So we'll call it hands on SAP Dev just to prove that, or just to check whether it. Oh no, let's do something else, just so we know that it's a new one, right? So let's call it Stormtrooper waffle. So it tries to delete Stormtrooper waffle just in case it existed from the last time we did it, which we haven't. Okay, it's doing that. Okay, well said, Andrew. Nice. Can always rely on Andrew for an excellent pun. Got some water. So this should do exactly the same thing as we did before. I'm glad we learned about the -c. I started using that a couple of weeks ago. You can sort of start Vim and then tell it to run a command straight away as soon as you go into edit mode. As soon as you load the file into the buffer with the -c set no wrap, because my default is no wrap. So we've got the app that does nothing and is not running, and now we've bound the emdev instance to the app, and we're binding the destination light instance to the app, and now we're binding the XSUAA application instance to the app, and that's it. And now let's look at the list of files in most recent last in the list there, lsltra default-env.json. So if we bring that back again, and what was it? Vim -c set no wrap. Do that straight away. Default-env.json. There we are. We've got it. That's just been generated, and that is generated from the text file that we got with all that cruft at the top and the VCAP application at the bottom. So we're good. So now what do we do with this? You know, we've finished here now. So we've done it manually. We've done it with a script. Let's go back and try that CDS run again. Okay. Go here and let's clear screen. Oh, let's quit out there first. Clear screen. Let's do that there. And now CDS run, because the default-env.json just needs to be in the directory. Last time we got CDS run, we got an error. There we go. And in fact, it's running. Brain level is set to 1. It's serving some stuff. In fact, just as CAP does beautifully normally, it's serving us some information. There's the charity entries there. 11111, 2222, 47111, right? But we'll come to that, we'll come to that next time. More importantly, okay, why don't we now go to our emitter? Where is it? There we go. S4HANA event, emit, and we'll run the emitter to emit a. Go to the top here to emit a sales order created message, to see the brain hopefully receive it and then log it out, because the brain function level 1, lower level function 1, will just log out the received thing. So let's try that, shall we? As the final thing. 8:56. Oh my goodness, are we going to do this? So let's open up another thing here, and let's actually put that down there. Go into the S4HANA event, emit, and we of course need to do a sales order number, emit. It doesn't really matter in this case because it's not going to do anything else, because brain level is set to 1. So all the brain is going to do is log the message detail. It worked. So what's happened there, if we've used the emitter to use the HTTP protocol, not AMQP or MQTT, we're using regular HTTP to send a message, to publish a message to the topic sales order created. There we go. And that topic is what our CAP application is listening to. And we'll look next week as to what it does and how all the things it does to set things up to start being able to receive messages published to that topic. It's pretty magic. It's pretty awesome, right? We'll dig into that next week because it's definitely worth staring at a lot. But the result of CAP doing all the right things, connecting to the enterprise messaging service, it creates a queue. It subscribes that queue to the topic in question, sales order created, and then it starts listening. But it does all that with AMQP, right? All for us, all magic. And there's our message. Did I say 1, 2, 3? So where is it? Yeah, sales order 1, 2, 3. That's the one. Drum roll. Yes, Andrew, drum roll. I missed that, sorry. And that's it, 8:58. I think we'll stop there. Hopefully that was that useful? Let me know if it was useful in the chat. So when we pick this up next week, we know that we can run the brain locally, okay? And we'll start messing with the higher level brain function. The next level brain function is to retrieve the sales order header. So we'll do that, but we'll also, maybe more importantly, look at what CAP does, the messaging infrastructure inside of CAP, what it does for us to make this blue arrow work. And that's it. So thanking you for joining. Thanks for making it interactive, and thanks for all the comments about the coffee and the Stroop waffles, the Stormtrooper waffles. Like I say, ping me on Twitter, direct message, private obviously, if you want me to post you any of these things. But until next week, have a great Friday, have a great weekend, and yeah, I'll see you next week. Bye for now.